Jackie Todd, Anna Johnson, and Joy Boykin are all running for the Johns Island seat on Charleston County Council. In this edition of Quintin's Close-Ups, I speak exclusively with Jackie Todd one-on-one. And be sure to download the free Quintin's Close-Ups app in your Apple or Google Play stores. Jackie Todd, it's so good to meet you.
Same here, Quintin. Nice meeting you.
Likewise. So here we sit. You're running for, obviously, District 8 on Charleston County Council.
Yes, sir.
And I went to your website, and I thought this was very interesting. You said this quote: "The choice this year for Charleston County Council District 8 is not between different personalities. The choice is between different visions of the future. In other words, different ways of governing." Tell me, how would you govern on county council if elected?
My governing position is based on my background. I came from a private industry where I was in the business area for over 30 years. My opponent is more in the service industry, and that's where he's been for 27 years. We're both retired at this point, but I will be looking at it from a different perspective. The money side,
Okay.
the efficiencies.
Sure.
So that's what I'll be looking for.
And it goes on to say this: "The positions of residents of Charleston County have degraded under the current representation. The issues impacting residents, including traffic, emergency response, preserving history and nature, flooding and basic service, unabated rezoning in urban areas resulted in these issues, which we cannot fix overnight." So tell me, what are you hearing from the residents of Charleston County in District 8?
Oh, all those things. I have been attending Johns Island, council. I'm a part of that group. I've gone to this, concerned citizens of the Sea Islands.
Right.
Everybody is saying the same thing. And even when I go out into the other areas, Hollywood,
Right.
Adams Run,
Right.
Ravenel,
Yeah.
they're all, saying the same story. Our neighbors I'm walking along,
Right.
they are very afraid. They said they can't even get off their island because they have to come through Johns Island because that's where I live. But
Wow.
it's like what we're doing or what's going on Johns Island is actually impacting them as well. And they are concerned also.
I gotta stop you there. 526. Is that dead or alive in your mind?
Well, dead or alive? That is a really tough question.
Okay.
Because, a lot of citizens want it.
Mm.
I am not one to say I want it, especially now. There are more urgent issues that we can address to help traffic, one of which is the flyover at Main and
Right.
Savannah Highway,
Right.
widening Main Road because there's always a traffic jam trying to get onto Johns Island from Savannah Highway. And then there's Maybank and the issue with the pitchforks.
Oh, yes.
The thing that bothers me most about the 526 is they say we don't have the funds to do these other projects, but yet they continue to find funds for 526. $62 million they just announced that they're going to use from the
Right.
half-cent sales tax.
Right.
And I'm like, well, if you could do that, we can do some of these other projects. They will be a more near-term relief than the others. And what the citizens are asking for, they're screaming for relief now, not 12 to 15 years out, which is what 526 will give us.
Why the politics?
The politics of 526?
Yes, ma'am.
That is a really good question, and I have wondered that same thing. We actually moved to Johns Island 2010, so we've been here 8 years.
Right.
And I've been referred to sometimes as an outsider. But to me, an outsider is one that can give you a fresh look on things. And that's what I am bringing to Charleston County Council. Politics, it is, to me, it has been part of the, I don't know, forever it seems like. Because when I got here, they were talking about 526.
Right.
Someone really wants that road for some reason, and I have not figured out why it has not been built. Because it's been talked about for a very long time.
Is it something that the people really, really need, or is it something that one of these politicians want to put on their resume saying, "Hey, I've done something"?
Well, like I said, if you talk to some of the people, they really, really want it. I'm not going to say whether they need it, they want it because they hate the traffic.
Mm.
And even coming here today, we left extremely early because you had no idea what to expect with the traffic. So a need or a want, I'm not sure which one it is.
Mm. What other issues play in your mind when you think of District 8 for Charleston County Council?
District 8, well, it's not even just District 8, but my three priorities, when I am elected for office, will be low taxes, smart growth, and quality of life. Low taxes come in when you have responsible spending. We have a lot of money that is being wasted around the county, and we are collecting loads of taxes. Even with all the new houses that are being built, they are bringing in revenue. But yet, that revenue from those taxes are not going to the other parts, which is the smart growth, building schools, roads, libraries, recreational facilities, things like that people will enjoy. I think personally that if we had more of those things, then, we will have citizens that are more conducive to or appreciative of the area.
Okay.
So when they get home, they can relax. You can hang out in the green space. So my opinion is those are the three things I'm running on, and those are my priorities. And when I get into office, I will, hit the ground running, addressing those issues.
And let me go to some headline news. This is from April 19th from the Post-Courier, and Abigail Darlington said this: "The proposed Oakville subdivision on Johns Island is not what the community's master plan envisioned. Plus, it poses serious flooding risks because the land is a floodplain for the Stono River." Tell me, how did that get approved?
I actually attended that meeting in February, and I actually was there, sitting there on Wednesday night. How it got approved is because we have a planning commission that they are required, or they have ordinance that they have to, live by or decide by.
Sure.
And you have the county person that will say, that check, the developer checked off. And so what this commission does is just simply say, okay, all these things are checked off, so we can't say no. And that's how it got approved. A lot of people walked out of that meeting very disappointed.
What is the state of Johns Island and its future in your mind?
I live in the city limits of Johns Island, and the state, I don't know. But I can't just sit and say what can be done for Johns Island, although that is where I live, and I think the world of it, but I will represent a full district. And if you look at the larger district, there are more concerns, more diverse concerns, and I have to address the concerns for the full district, in particular taking those to council, and then when on council, represent the whole county. So if you look out, say like in the Parkers Ferry area,
Right.
I'm not sure if you're familiar with this, the new tax law that was passed back in
Right.
December, the opportunity zone. Parkers Ferry area was nominated by Governor McMaster, and since then, the U.S. Department of Treasury has now officially designated it as an opportunity zone.
Right.
So now we're in the beginning of that 10-year process to where we can bring in appropriate industry to grow that area, education, trade technical schools,
Sure.
Maybe even like Volvo
Right.
is one example. But there are many others, and my background actually gives me the opportunity to work with these larger companies or smaller, whichever case may be, to figure out and to do it the smart way. Bring in the right kind of businesses for that area, for the people that are there, so that we can reduce the unemployment rate there. A note that I saw that the unemployment rate, say in the Parkers Ferry area, is like 6.2%, which is 50% higher than the average in the state. So if we can bring in the right kind of industry that fits that area, smart growth that we're talking about here, we can actually improve the quality of life for a lot of the citizens in that area. So, like I said, it's just totally different. Johns Island, we are bursting at the seam.
Okay.
Houses, cars, no roads. But then when you move out into the other areas, it's totally different. There are also issues, because I'm asking the citizens, I want to know what's going on, what's important to you. And I'm hearing a lot about just even trash.
Okay.
There is trash on the highways. How do you pick it up? Just say Guatemala as an example. I went down to a meeting in Guatemala recently,
Okay.
and they're actually having, make Guatemala beautiful, or beautify Guatemala. And driving in, I noticed from the East Side Bridge down to what they call the Fort,
Right.
that it was like very clean. And because they're keeping that distance clean, the residents are taking pride in their island, and you can see how the rest of the island is looking so much better. And they actually have noticed that difference. So I'm like, wow. So now if we can kind of transfer that kind of knowledge into other parts of the county, it would be great. Because I just remember a call or a meeting the other day with like Moody, where he was saying that they went out and picked up all that trash, and then when he drove in like 2 days later, the trash was already coming back. So we need to address, trash, the sides of roads, just things like that that actually degrades the quality of life for people.
And I know that you have a good working relationship that is with Brantley Moody. Tell me, how would you work with the other members of Charleston County Council?
Well, at this point, I don't know how I would work with them.
Okay.
But I do plan. My plans right now is to find out from the citizens what they want,
Okay.
what they would like to see happen, or things that can improve their quality of life. And then once elected, November 6th, general election, November 7th, I will start to sit and plan out meetings with each of the council people to get to know them. Because at that point, I can start to very well represent what is needed in my district.
And what would you do on day one as council member if you're elected?
That is a very good question. And what I would do on day one is start to look into the books. There has been so many questions about, they're doing this behind closed doors and that behind closed doors. I'm not that kind of person. And we need to make sure that the citizens know what's going on, where their tax dollars are going.
Okay.
Because if they don't know, if I don't know, how can I help the county spend their money responsibly? And that is very important to me is, where's the money going?
And as we sit here, let me reset it. Obviously, you are a businesswoman, but beyond being a businesswoman and obviously running for office, who is Jackie Todd?
Jackie Todd is one person that is very concerned. I'm concerned for the citizens on Johns Island as well as the rest of the district. I want to represent them all, and in order to do that, I need to know, what they want, what they need. I have this, my background includes, I can handle money. I've gone from, $50,000 trade shows to $250 million spends. So I can handle the money. I take it personal to be able to do that. I would run this very much like I would run a household, because you have to learn to live on a budget. And we need a budget, a very good budget in Charleston County, so that we can spend the money responsibly for our citizens.
You talk about the budget. What would you leave in the Charleston County budget, and what would you take out?
It depends, because you have to know what is really, you see numbers. I've seen many budgets over many years, and if you don't know what's really behind those, that's part of day one, getting in there and knowing what's behind it, all of those numbers. I can't say exactly what would come out, but I know there are some, smoking guns in there, things that can be taken out that we can spend better and use the money more wisely for our citizens.
Okay. Well, Jackie Todd, thank you so much for your time. I really, really appreciate this.
Thank you, Quintin.
Likewise.